So the presidential election is coming up, and you want to vote too, right? You want to perform your civic duty, but in order to truly make a concrete decision on who to vote for, you have to learn the process. Don't worry, it will only take 5 minutes to explain this 495-day amalgamation of debates, conventions, more debates, and elections. It's like that movie 500 Days of Summer, but directed by America. And the girl is Wolf Blitzer. Ready, set, go! First are the party primary debates. These debates are held by a political party to determine who will be their nominee. For 2020, these debates will serve to filter between the now 24 candidates running for the Democratic nomination, although only 20 of them will be invited. There will be 6 debates in the months leading up to the primaries and 6 more during the primaries. If that doesn't help you decide between all of them, that's okay. Most of them will have dropped out before you even get a chance to vote for them. The primary elections are a 6-month season of state-level mini-elections to determine each party's nominee for president. Each state has a date in which they vote during, and this has enormous implications on how much that state's vote really matters. If you don't live in Iowa or New Hampshire, you're gonna have to wait a little bit because for months, candidates get to spend millions of dollars and dozens of hours walking around eating corn dogs and petting sheep or whatever Iowans do to gain their support, not yours. The primary season favors states that vote earlier because 1, the early states have more choices who haven't dropped out yet, and 2, the candidates who win these early races enter a positive feedback loop that allows them to win the later races by virtue of electability. As winners win, losers drop out and endorse the winners. People start thinking about the math of all of this and start voting based on who they think can win, not who they really want. This is tactical voting and shows up everywhere in American elections. How many times have you heard someone say the phrase, "Oh, well, I do like Bernald McClint Cruz, but they would never win." This is why they say that. The predictive nominee becomes clearer and clearer as the season goes on, so much so that often by May or June there will just be one candidate left on the ballot. Not very democratic. There's a ton of other problems I could go over about the real way the primary system works, such as the fact that some states are closed primaries and therefore ban independents from voting. How some states are primaries, which are like regular old elections with voting booths and everything, and some states are caucuses, which are hours-long public forums that mandate your attendance in order to vote. There's also how every state has different rules on how they allocate delegates. And oh, delegates, the scoring mechanism for the primaries that are actually real people, local party insiders, who are bound to vote for your preferred candidate on your behalf. Maybe, sort of, kind of, not really. Some of them can vote for whomever they want, really. And really, the party nominee has always been directly chosen by a majority of these delegates who convene in this massive arena-sized party/political forum called the National Convention, a tradition that actually predates the primaries by over 130 years. But we can't get into that now because we already have 2 minutes, 30 seconds left. Go, go, go! So by this point, the nominees have been chosen by their conventions, not by you, and we're now in the general election. The last big event before voting are the debates. More of them. These ones are between different parties, however, so we'll need a neutral, nonpartisan organization running it. You'll do. The Commission on Presidential Debates is a private, non-profit organization run by former Republican and Democrat leaders. They choose the dates, the venues, the questions, the selection of assorted cheeses for the snack table, and the participants. In order to get into the debates, you need to, quote, have ballot access to at least enough states in the union to be able to mathematically achieve a majority in the Electoral College and also be polling at least 15% in the average of 5 nationwide opinion polls by the time of the first debate. Unquote. For any one candidate, 15% doesn't sound all that bad until you realize how much broad, far-reaching nationwide support you need to get there. 15% is equivalent to having received 20.5 million votes in the 2016 election, which no one can do without large culturally accepted structural support. The last guy who edged past 15% was in 1992, and was only able to do so because he was a billionaire who self-financed his campaign. And he couldn't even do it twice! This rule isn't arbitrary, it's specifically chosen by the CPD so that only the 2 major parties will viably get in, because the CPD is run by them. So the debates are done, time to vote. Just like any election, right? Winner take all, most votes wins, right? Let's just get through this. When you go to vote, it's not for who you want to be president, but who you want your state to represent when voting for the president. Each state gets a certain number of electoral votes based on their population, plus 2 extra to every single one. California gets 55, and Wyoming gets 3. Whoever gets the largest number of votes is entitled to all of that state's electoral votes. All of them, whether they get 90% of the vote or 9%. But the 6 electoral votes Utah has are not a point system, but a group of 6 individuals who will be voted for to represent Utah as a whole when the Electoral College, the body of representatives who are designed for the purpose of voting for the president, meet in December. It's implied that those 6 reps have to vote for the state's popular vote winner, but in these states they aren't legally required to do so. But if a candidate gets a majority of these Electoral College votes, they are elected president. Now, if the vote ties or no one reaches more than half of these votes, then the House of Representatives, which from 1 year, 4 months, and 10 days up until that very Christmas Eve had nothing to do, decides instead. But you know, that's another story. Oof. That's it. That's the United States presidential election explained in 5 minutes. Mostly, kind of. I left a lot of things out. But that's the thing about the US election system. There's always one more layer, some more complication to make this whole shebang even more confusing. I probably left the whole of you confused, angry, or disenfranchised about this whole mess. Which is good, because this and a whole lot more is what we're here to untangle. Welcome to the Electioneers. We're here to help you sort out how your elections work and what can be done to make them truly more free and fair for everyone. There are numerous problems with this system that are just commonly accepted as free and fair, but there are so many ways to give the citizen better and happier representation, and we're here to talk about them. Stick around, and we'll make this whole mess a lot less messy. Thanks for watching.